Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be Oneitis. We have an email here from a guy who is obviously suffering from oneitis. He even says at the end of his email that she could be the one. So this is pretty common because we all tend to project our fantasy of what we want onto other people. And we often ignore the fact that it's just simply not mutual. And where this can become a problem is we project this fantasy and we ignore the fact that they're not reciprocating interest. They're not doing anything to make it easy to get together on a date. And people can get hung up, especially this guy, this particular woman, I think he met about a year ago. And so for the last year, she's been on his mind constantly. But so he goes through their interactions, the context of it, and he also shares their text exchange after he ended up seeing her in person with a mutual group of friends. So there's a lot of things going on, and he's also involving other people in their mutual group of friends, and he doesn't realize that this is simply not going to be helpful and how they portray him, because most people don't know what they're doing and they try to be helpful, and all they end up doing is making the other person look weak and undesirable. So I got a quote that I wrote, and then we'll go through his email. The quote says, "People tend to project their dating fantasy onto potential lovers, but often overlook and ignore the fact the objects of their affections have little to no romantic interest in them. The harsh reality is that most of the people who you want to date won't have mutual high interest in you. Approaching potential romantic partners should be seen as an opportunity to gauge their interest and compatibility, not as a major life event. People who like you will be enthusiastic to talk to you, curious about you, and excited to spend time with you. When they aren't, don't take it personally. You simply have to get through the no's in order to get to the yeses. You will fail more than you succeed, but you only need one good one for magic to happen." So the key is when you see the fact that the romantic interest is not reciprocated, and I go into detail in 3% Man on what to look for. And when it's not there, don't take it personally. Just move on to your next prospect, because if you do what this guy does, you can literally waste years of your life. I've had people 7, 10, 15 years, 20 years being hung up on one woman who's just simply not reciprocating interest. They stay stuck in friend zone, and this woman is always in the back of their mind, but she's always unavailable, tells them she's interested in being a friend, and typically she's got a boyfriend, or when she is single, she keeps him at arm's length. But the guys just seem undeterred because they've seen too many movies where if you just pursue enough and tell her how much you really, really super duper like her, eventually she'll fall in love with you and you'll live happily ever after. That's nice. The geeky guy who wrote the screenplay fantasizes about the woman that he liked in high school that had no interest in him. And so he writes a movie where the geeky guy actually gets that girl who had no interest. And when you see that over and over as you're growing up, and just every day as you become an adult, that propaganda reinforces a fairy tale that's just simply delusional and non-existent. As a self-respecting, self-loving human being, you want somebody that's excited to be with you, that's grateful for the opportunity, that wants to talk to you, that wants to engage with you. And if somebody just simply doesn't have that same vibe that you do, it should be taken as demeaning to yourself to continue staying engaged and trying to convert that person or hoping that they're going to change their mind, instead of seeing yourself and acting like a high-value person who just moves on to the next prospect. So let's go through his email. It says, "Hi, Corey. I'm a 32-year-old criminal defense lawyer. I've read your book at least a dozen times. Dozen times, huh? Along with the videos to supplement for over 3 years. I met a new prosecutor who started right during the pandemic in March of 2020. While all of her cases were virtual at the time. She lasted as a prosecutor until the end of 2020. I had a case with her in December where she told me she was leaving and going back to private practice. I find out from her she is moving to an office half a block from where I practice. Fast forward, we were still in a major lockdown through first quarter of 2021. I reached out once to her during the lockdown saying, neighbor, how is the practice of law down your block? And she responded, and I tried to initiate a date, but she was waiting for post-pandemic world. Sure. No biggie. She responded back instantly, though. The reality is, well, depending on where you were, like I know some places in Europe, they literally, the police come and beat the crap out of you and force a mask on you and then take you to jail if you're not wearing a mask. But here in the free state of Florida, things were fairly normal, even though you had to deal with mask Nazis who loved the power that they had, loved telling other people that they needed to mask up. It's the first time they feel significant in their life, having some kind of power over other people. But I digress. Fast forward to now, summer of 2021, we're out of lockdown, and I finally meet her in person 4th of July weekend because we have mutual lawyer friends and we went out to a bar. I met her because my buddy texted me saying she's coming out with us and I know you want to meet her, so I went out. So now that he's involving all of his friends and letting them know that he's interested in this woman, he's a really great guy. So when people are overselling you on somebody and telling you how, or it's the same thing as like when one of your female friends goes, oh, I have the perfect girl for you. You guys would be amazing together. Is she pretty? Well, she's really nice. You're like, oh, I'm going to probably pass on that. So you hear that enough from people that are well-meaning and well-intentioned, they start to make you look like a guy who is just undesirable. Besides, you try to set a date and she says, ah, shucks, those darn lockdowns. Can't make, just gonna have to wait. Her friends love me, and I told them I came out because I wanted to meet her in person. Come on, man. Come on, man. To which they love that. She didn't know. Bro, she knows. They told her. And it didn't help your case. It didn't make you look confident and masculine. It looked like you were scheming and plotting to get other people to put some peer pressure on her to get her to go out with you. He says, that wasn't my intent, but whatever. Positive vibes. I would never involve other people in your romantic interest because you never know. There could be one of the guys in this mutual group who also wants to date her, and without realizing it, he's trying to sandbag you behind the scenes. As the old Indian proverb goes, if tribe not to know, keep mouth shut. She's definitely shy compared to her friends who I meshed with instantly. She was just shy in general. Or maybe she's just not that into you, bro. You can tell he's very enthusiastic about her all throughout the email. But if you look at her reaction, and she's kind of like, oh, darn shucks, those lockdowns. We'll just have to wait. This girl is very similar to me, which we both found out about each other, meaning both only children and first lawyers in our family. So he's probably been talking to a lot of people about her, and it's like, all this shit's going to get back to her, dude. Especially if you're telling other women. Women can keep a secret for a matter of seconds. I think it was the study was like 42 seconds or something like that. The average woman can keep a secret. She is drop dead gorgeous, but probably doesn't think she's that gorgeous. I can't believe she's single. Maybe she's crazy. You don't know. Anyway, she struck me in a way that not all women strike me. You know the feeling, brother. Amazing feeling. See, We all make our decisions based upon our emotions, and we use logic and reason to justify our decisions. In this case, this guy is an attorney. He's used to making arguments. So he's gotten carried away on his Oneitis and his emotions, and he's going out of the way to build up and puff up their limited interactions. Like, it really means something. But the reality is, if a woman likes you, she's going to help you get to her front door. And so far in our little story, she hasn't been willing to do that. Fast forward to the present week, post 4th of July weekend. I waited 4 days to text her, and here is the text exchange, verbatim. He says, "Hi, Jessica. I'm glad we finally got to meet in the non-virtual world. It doesn't happen every day where I meet someone who is like me, meaning the first Esquire and their family, who also happens to be an only child too. I want to see you. When are you free to grab a drink? Soon, and get to know you more. What's your schedule like?" Come on, Bob. Can you drool more on your phone as you're writing this? It's too nice. It's too much flowery language. And she says, "Hey, Bob. It was nice to see you as well. I'm actually going away this weekend to the beach. I'm so sorry." Notice she doesn't say, "Oh, I can't this weekend, but next week, definitely. Let's do it." Nope, she's just, "Ah, shucks, I'm going away this weekend. Gosh, we'll never be able to go out because I'm going away just for this weekend." He responds back, and you'll notice her messages are much shorter than his. He says, "No need to apologize. Sounds like a fun weekend. How about we plan something some other time soon when your schedule is a little more open?" And her response was she liked his message. So when somebody just likes your message and you're in a text exchange, it shows there is a lack of interest. In other words, that's the end of the conversation. And that's what she wants. She wants it to end. She wants the conversation to end. He says, question, "If I do not hear from her within the next few weeks, do I try one more time to schedule a definite date with her and see what her response is? Maybe she's the one." Come on, man. Do you really think, after taking a step back and looking at her interactions, looking at this text exchange, that she's really going, "Bob is the one for me. I can't wait till we get together for our very first date, and then it's going to be matrimonial bliss forever and ever"? I would say she's just trying to hopefully communicate in a way that you recognize she's not interested and you just go away. So obviously your text is just way too long, way too much flowery language, way too much drooling all over the phone. And there's just too much soy. I'm sorry. There's just too much soy in your responses. But the most important thing is, like, from the beginning, there's just no mutual enthusiasm. She's making no effort to make it easy. If she really liked you and was really glad that she reached out, she wouldn't have just said, "Ah, shucks, I'm going away this weekend. Gosh darn it, not going to be able to get together." She would be like, "Oh, I can't this weekend, but I'm free Tuesday, or I'm free Wednesday, or my schedule's open next week." She would tell you something like that. So her response shows that she's like, eh. So what I would do if I were you, I would look at... So the other thing I want to critique here is what you said. How about we plan something some other time soon when your schedule's a little more open? My response wouldn't have been, "No need to apologize. Sounds like a fun weekend," which just sounds phony and fake, to be honest with you. It sounds like something on somebody on a game show host would say. "Better luck next time, Bob." So the way I would handle this, I would have just said, "Hey, no problem. Well, what's your schedule like next week? What days are you free next week?" And see what she would have said. But you didn't do that. So it sounds like you're so when you try to make a date with somebody and you use the takeaway, so it looks like he's misusing the takeaway strategy. So he's saying some other time soon. So in other words, if you have a date set and now she's trying to waffle or trying to change the time or not being real open, you're going to say, well, we can do it some other time when your schedule's more open. Because if she's like, oh yeah, sounds good, but she didn't offer any other time. So like I said, I wouldn't handle it this way, but the reality is there's just no enthusiasm at all. So you could reach out and I would say maybe 2 or 3 weeks and just say, hey, wanted to see what your schedule like when you're free to get together. Because she might be in another headspace. She might have a different attitude then. But if I take the totality of everything here, I'd be like, bro, she's just not that into you. But like I said, you might as well wait. I would wait 2-3 weeks, maybe a month, see if she reaches out. Stop talking about her, everybody. Stop drooling all over yourself about her to your friends and your mutual contacts, hoping that's going to help your case. Because it's not. It's just simply not going to help. Give her one more shot. But like I said, the odds of her being in a different headspace, 10%, maybe. So like I say, the odds aren't in your favor. If I was in Las Vegas and I was placing a bet, I would be betting on you not getting a date with her. So it's below a 50-50 shot. But hey, you might as well take another run at it in a few weeks, see what happens, be more direct, be more decisive, cut out all the BS, flowery language, just be direct, decisive, brief, get to the point, be nice, but be brief, and see what happens. If she's like, shucks, gosh darn it, I got plans this weekend. Would have been really great to get together this week, but I just can't do it because I already got plans. Oh well. Better luck next time, Bob. There's just a lack of enthusiasm here. Even a woman who had really high interest on a 7 or 8 on a scale of 1 to 10 would have still made a date with you. That's the reality. This one, her interest is really low, and your texting exchange, because when I go through these, my goal is to critique you, help you get better. Because when you got women that you're just barely attractive enough in their eyes to where they would go out with you, text exchanges like this can be enough for where she goes, oh, this guy's a fucking beta male. He's another nice guy. And she's been out with tons of guys who behave this way, and she knows how it ends. And so she's just nipping it in the bud. So it's important to be as perfect as you can. That's why I go through and I critique these things so you can be better next time, because there might be a woman who her interest is only a 5 and your texting is better than what you posted here, and it's enough to get a date. Because if the girl's a 5 and you text like this, she's probably gonna be like, another one of these spongy Bob guys. No, thank you. Too nice, too compliant, be too much of a doormat, too easy to manipulate and control. So if you'd like to get my help, you need to book a coaching session with yours truly. You need help in your personal or professional life. You can go to understandingrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a coaching session with yours truly. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.